Hello and welcome to what is going to be a joyous episode of An Echo of Glory. Joining me on this Monday morning, Gary Diamond, hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Jake Robson, hello.
Hello, good morning.
And we've got someone else with us. You might have just seen his arm there in the studio. It's Pep Guardiola. Good morning, Pep.
Good morning, Pep.
Not a word.
Hello, Pep.
Not a word from Pep Guardiola. Maybe he'll chip in during the session.
He looks. You know what he looks like to me?
What?
So happy to be here.
Do you know what it looks like to me?
What?
Eric Ten Hag.
Does look like Eric Ten Hag. What, you think he's going to go the same way as Eric Ten Hag?
No, but I saw a great graphic over the weekend where he
morphed
into Eric Ten Hag, which I thought was quite amusing.
It's been some when this happens, social media is
Amazing.
a wonderful place.
Amazing.
And there was
This is what it was meant for.
yeah, exactly. Forget the racism and all that sort of stuff. This is what it was meant for. There was someone did the Spurs cockerel with Pep's head as the ball. I just thought that was really funny. We're live as we are. Top Bants. We're live as we always are now. Join us in the comments. I'm going to ask you boys a question, and I want to put it out there to the people in the comments. And
I had a good weekend too. Thanks.
No,
for
not
asking.
that. Not that. I don't care. Is that winning 4-0 at Man City our best ever Premier League win? Silent. Not biggest, because we had big wins when we beat Wimbledon 6-2 to whatever it was to stay up.
It was the first. One of the first things I thought afterwards was this has to go down as one of our best, definitely. And I know everybody gets hung up about why does everything these days have to be the best you've ever seen, but we haven't had many of our best wins ever in recent years. I don't think the one at City, the last time we won, was pretty good.
3-2.
3-2. Because let's face it, our best wins now, if you're going to put anything in the best wins category, you've got City, Liverpool away, these kind of things. I mean, we don't do that very often.
Yeah.
Chelsea, we haven't won it. But also the way we did it, I think so. But if you put it in context of what have been our best wins over the years, what would you say? Where would this rank in that? Throw some off the top of your head, just wins that we've had.
I think winning at the Emirates, having been 2-0 down at half time, that was a great win. I thought the manner in which we beat Chelsea at Stamford Bridge when Dekihad scored that goal.
Fantastic. Yeah. But that was also, I think, partly because we hadn't won there as well.
Yeah, of course.
But it definitely goes down as one of our best wins.
6-1 at United was great, but I think all COVID results have a caveat.
Yeah.
6-1 at United was phenomenal. I think, you're right. If that had been in front of a full stadium, then perhaps that would have been... I don't know. I think going away to the champions, though, and winning 4-0, and that is their first defeat at home in 52 games. Yeah. However, whatever the narrative around them at that particular moment in time, whatever people might say, they still hadn't lost at home in 52 games. There was the expectation that after the international break, they would have had a reset and they would come back, with a bit more fire in their belly and get things sorted. So was it the best ever win? It's impossible to sort of say, but I'd be very interested in what our viewers think.
Certainly Premier League. I mean, others like Madrid and Dortmund come to mind.
Yeah. Madrid was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the I remember back in the day where there was a season, I think was it under George Graham, where we beat at home. I think we beat United and Arsenal, and we had some really big wins at home. And I remember thinking at the time, I was only about 10, thinking, wow, we don't do this very often.
No.
But I think, as Gary says, it's very recency bias, isn't it? Say is the best.
Yeah,
it's definitely one of. It's definitely one of the best.
Recency bias can definitely come into it.
But it's definitely one of. You put it in that top 10, I'd say.
Yeah,
it's got Pep's arm in Gary's shirt.
I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It was a fantastic performance, and the other performances we're talking about were also fantastic performances. So, as you say, recency bias would always say yes. This was the best, but. I don't know. There've been some great performances and great results, and this is one of the top ones for sure.
Yeah, a few people in the comments. Blue Towel says, as an Aussie fan who got on board when Ange got the job, he confidently says this is the biggest win. Yeah, certainly in recent times, definitely. Absolutely. Manchester 0, Tottenham 7 says Ronnie. Yeah, 2 wonderful wins in Manchester. There's a stat on that. We are only the second team in Premier League history to win by 3 or more goals at both Manchester clubs in the same season, after Everton in 92-93.
Yeah, I was half listening there because I was just thinking about Ollie's comment here, in the Premier League, we haven't beaten other notional top 6 away from home at all. So it's slim. Well, no, we did beat Arsenal, we did beat Chelsea. So
Ollie's talking rubbish, not for the first time.
yeah.
Right, good evening, Sydney Duke, all the way from Australia. Good weekend. I will ask you now, did you have a good weekend, Jake Robson?
Fantastic.
Gary?
Yeah, very nice weekend.
Good.
Thank you.
Right. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Club news. And keep coming with your comments on what you think is the best win in Spurs'
Also,
history.
we've beaten United at Old Trafford a few times, Ollie, haven't we?
Yeah, I might have to rethink whether Ollie can come back on this pod.
Yeah,
We've won 4-0 at City and he's still been a misery.
he's drunk on City.
Yeah.
And last season, were Villa not a top 6 club? In fact, they're in the Champions League. So notionally, they were top 6 and we beat them 4-0 away last season. So
yeah.
And then lost to.
So I think when he means
game?
at all, he means like in general, doesn't he? Doesn't literally mean.
No, listen, it is slim pickings. It's not huge amounts. Yeah, but they were away from home. Ollie's saying Gary away from home. But we beat United away from home a couple of times. We've beaten Arsenal away from home. We've beaten Chelsea away from home. We've beaten City a number of times away from home. Anyway, whatever. But yeah.
Okay, club news. We will start with the 21s didn't play. The 18s beat Leicester 2-0 in the League Cup. And the women had a League Cup game against Villa, which they won 1-0. It was a great goal from Suman. I can't pronounce her name.
Oh, it was a great goal.
Great goal. 35 yards out.
I think Villa had a goal disallowed in that game as well, because my notifications came up, flashed up, Villa 1 up. I was like,
okay.
And then it disappeared. And then a few minutes later, Spurs were 1 up.
Yeah, that was a decent win. It was a League Cup game. They lost their last few in the league, and Villa are a team similar to Spurs. You want to be beating them.
But if you haven't seen that goal, get on and watch it. Hell of a strike. Proper goal, that.
Yeah. And before we get to the main event, a bit of club news this week, or a major bit of club news, was this rebranding, which I think on the back of an Ipswich defeat, everyone was just really, really angry at everything the club was doing. Doesn't bother me. And when I look at they've taken the Tottenham Hotspur away from the badge, which people didn't like because they said, So
what you're saying is they've taken our Tottenham away.
Literally, the stadium's called the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which will change, but
not sure it will it?
I don't, well, one day. Maybe not under these guys. I actually look at the old badge now with the Tottenham Hotspur underneath, and I really don't like it. I'm not a marketing guy, but what's the problem?
I just didn't understand.
I find it weird. A lot of the criticism was about the supposed erosion of the club, but there's only been one point in our history where Tottenham Hotspur has ever been on the badge. That was for a period of 8 years, between 81 and 87 or 88. This chairman put Tottenham Hotspur back onto the badge, and now that he's taken it away, it's like he's eroding the history of the club. And it's like, you got to. I get that people have agendas. I understand it, and I get people have grievances with Enoch and Levy and all of that. But you've got to pick and choose your battles, and for me, this just ain't one of them.
Yeah, great.
It's just ain't one of them. And if you're going to go in on this agenda to the amount that people have, it's probably that. It's probably an agenda.
I think, like I said, it's because we'd had a bad week, and everything that week was just bad news.
Maybe.
Anyway, let's talk about the big event on Saturday, which was us winning 4-0 at Man City, in case you didn't know. There's nothing else. That's what we're going to talk about. Sidney Duke asks, what did we think about the selection of Maddison before the game? Well, we're going to talk about that. We lined up with Vicario in goal, Porro, Dragusin and Davis, which we knew were going to have to start. Udogie at left back, Sarr, Bissouma. Maddison came in. Kulu, Solanke and Son. Opta have listed it here as a 4-3-3. Not sure it was. It's a 4-2-3-1.
Yeah.
I was surprised, as I think some were, to see Kulu back on the right. Brave from Ange.
I was surprised because I wasn't expecting it, but when I saw it, I was very happy. I don't think we need to reiterate my feelings about Johnson from the game against Ipswich. Against a team like City, it made a lot of sense. You want players higher up the pitch who can take the ball under pressure, relieve that pressure, and hold it up and get in their half a bit. Whereas Johnson is a guy that plays on the periphery of games, as he did when he came on as well. So it made a lot of sense in terms of dropping Johnson for this game.
Were you surprised?
I was surprised. I was really surprised because I haven't seen much good of Kulusevski out on the wing. I think I was worried of what we would lose from him being so effective through the middle. And he's been so much a better player. He's been our best player this season. And where's he been played? Through the middle. So my instant worry was, are we going to lose what he's been so good at? But Johnson or not aside, it was more just moving Kulusevski. That was my worry. I love seeing Maddison back in the side. So at the same time, if you can get them both, if that's the way to get them both in the side, basically, if you're not going to play both of them in midfield, then I can kind of take it. But I was thinking my first thought was, how's Kulusevski going to go?
He was great.
He was
Is
great.
the answer. And he
Fantastic.
he always had a free role.
Yeah.
He may have been stationed on the right hand side for formation purposes on Opta and whatever, but actually you watch the game and the highlights, he was everywhere.
Everywhere.
Okay, so we all predicted a defeat last week.
Well, I didn't see it as, and this is a bit like what I was saying to you guys about Maddison a few weeks ago. I didn't see it as Johnson being dropped. I think you've got a squad, different horses for different courses. But different. What's the word?
Interestingly, I agree with you in principle. I don't think Johnson was dropped because of his performance against Ipswich. Just from a personal point of view, I was happy to see him on the bench. I think it was tactical, and Ange has kind of explained as much since. But when it comes to Maddison, Ange's comments about Maddison does perhaps point to it having been dropped, because he has said, Maddison didn't go on international duty. We have worked very hard. I take responsibility for all of for the form of any of my players, and we have worked very, very hard with Madders during international duty, and he's responded really well.
So do you think he knew?
That says to me
he knew he was going to start him.
Yeah. I think he set up. He knew he was going to start him, but it also says to me that he wasn't doing what Ange had wanted and was dropped. So I agree with you, and I disagree with you. That's all right.
Yeah.
I think I know we're jumping ahead to the second goal, but you look at that second goal. He's not done that. He has not passed the ball and got himself into the box. He spent a lot of time.
Well, he said that he has.
I don't think he has.
He said in, and it was quite interesting, really interesting actually, that he said for the first goal that he had spoken to Kulusevski before the game, and said, when you cut in and chop in on your left foot from the right wing, deliver and I will make that run, right? And he said, I said it to Kulu, and Kulu's got that quality and he was able to do it. And then he went on to say, and it's a run that I've made a few times this season and I haven't been found or seen, which sounded to me like I trust Kulu's quality a lot more than I trust Johnson's quality. That's how I read it, personally.
Well, it worked.
It did work.
So we all sat here last week and predicted a defeat, and in the first 5 to 10 minutes, City, as probably expected, started very, very quickly. And if Haaland had his shooting boots on, who knows what would have happened? But he didn't. And we've done this a few times. We did it in the Champions League quarterfinal, and we did it last season. Whenever we go there, we always seem to score with our first attack.
Yeah.
And we didn't get out of our half, really. And then Dragosin pings a lovely ball over behind Gvardiol, which I think was tactical as well. I think they played Kulu because of his strength alongside Gvardiol.
That was one of my thoughts. It had to be that.
Kulu's definitely stronger than Johnson, and Gvardiol's a strong boy, and gets forward a lot, and probably was wary of him going the other way. And Kulu will just run and run and run. Kulu said yesterday or Saturday, I don't get tired. Well, it doesn't look like it. No. The bloke just runs and runs. Bounces off Gvardiol, who's a big boy, plays it in 1-0. Before you know it, it's 2-0.
But it makes sense that we would go there and score with our first attack of the games, because the way that City are, it's a little bit like the criticism that people have of us. And the criticism that people have of us is that you have to look at City and believe that is what we are trying to get towards. So when you actually do break out and get through them, you are going to create a very, for want of a new way of terminology, you're going to create a very high XG chance. And that's the way that City play, mate. So, that's why you soak up that pressure, not necessarily deliberately. I'm sure you'd rather not have to soak up that pressure.
You're going to have to.
When you get out, you're out and you're in. And that's the criticism. That's the exact criticism that people have against us. So it doesn't surprise me. Your statement that we score generally at the Etihad with our first attack. I'm looking back in my head right now at those goals that I can think of, And they're all like straight in on goal behind them.
Yeah.
Very high XG chances.
Usually
it's
Son.
exactly
Usually
Son.
Even under Conte, one of his principles, although obviously he was a way less attacking manager, but the way he wanted to attack on the counter was you get the ball forward as quickly as you can, and that's how when you're going to. And City are prime for that.
Yeah, exactly.
And we've seen it happen. When we went there under Conte.
I know he didn't score, but I feel in my head that all of Son's goals away to City have come down that end.
Yeah.
We scored a lot of goals there, and I can't remember Son scoring one in front of the away fans.
No, I've got Steed Malbronk in front of the away fans in my head for some reason, just because it was one of those sort of finishes.
Malbronk?
Great tash.
Yeah, in the League Cup.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking of that goal just because it was one of those that Sonny sort of bends it, and Malbronk kind of did that, but that was at the other end.
They in the same team? Not Malbronk.
No. Not in the same team. I'm just thinking of goals at the other end.
I see.
I'm just talking out loud.
Listen, the best goal at City was the Crouchy, and that was at the other end.
Yeah, I was at that game. That was phenomenal.
Yeah, phenomenal.
I also enjoyed the Son at the home end, where the second goal of the quarter-final, when he did sort of cut in and bend it in. That was 2 goals in 2 minutes. But you're right. I don't think he scores in front of the home fans.
The other thing about that first
Bale
goal,
scored in front of that end. Sorry,
Son scored one at the way in 2017. He did. Sidney Duke is correct. Harry Layoff shot into the left-hand corner. You're absolutely right, Sidney Duke. He did. Yes, he teed it up for him.
The other thing about that first goal was that is not something we've seen. Long ball from Dragusin.
Yeah.
That's, Rio Ferdinand would have been proud of that. No, but so often you see defenders make that and it goes out. But just to drop it literally in the space within probably, I don't know, a 10-yard, 10 square yard area that he plonked it exactly where it had to go.
They wanted Kulu 1-on-1 with Gvardiol.
But correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe they don't have it in their lockers. Romero, Van de Ven, have they been asked to do that? Have we seen them do that?
So I know the point you're trying to make, and it's one that I was really pleased with as well. We're under a bit of pressure.
Yeah.
We're struggling to get out. Sometimes you don't have to play through a team.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can just go a bit long. If it was rugby, a kick down to the corner, get that territory, right? And it was absolutely the right ball from Dragusin. It's a ball that Romero plays, but he tends to do the Dawson booming across field. Whereas Dragusin managed to really ping it out there.
But was this what we don't know yet, and maybe we'll see it in subsequent matches? Is this a tactic, or was this just Dragusin
taking initiative?
Yeah, I mean.
But there's a few things to this. Kulusevski made a couple of players, and I'm going to get confused as who said what during the week, but certainly Kulusevski said a couple of things. Who said this? I'm not sure. It might have been Ange, but the players have to find solutions on the pitch themselves sometimes. And they have to take
that a fair bit,
and they have to take the initiative themselves. And the initiative there is, okay, we're under the cosh a bit here. City do press very aggressively, and if you are starting a bit slow and struggling to get a foothold in the game, then actually you've got 2 big lads up front, in Kulusevski and Solanke, and you should go a little bit longer. That is taking initiative. We are finding a way out. But what then really struck me, which was the whole sort of emphasis, the whole picture of the game, it was my criticism of Spurs against Ipswich, was Ipswich simply wanted it more than us on the day. I said every second ball, everything was dropping to Ipswich. It's not a coincidence. They wanted it more. They made that happen. Kulusevski in the week was asked, why is there inconsistency at Tottenham? And he said, I think it comes down to literally mentality. I'm going to paraphrase what he said, so I can't remember word for word. He said, it comes down to mentality. We have to have a winning mentality, not just in every game, but every training session, every action, everything that we're doing. We have to have that winning mentality. And he went out on that pitch and led by example, and he wanted that more than Gvardiol. He wanted it more than Gvardiol. And he won it off him, got a big shoulder in, barged him off. And Gvardiol the whole City team just didn't seem to want it. It was us against Ipswich. They just didn't seem to want it. Whereas we did, and our attitude was absolutely spot on in every aspect of the game. That's the biggest compliment that you can pay to Tottenham, is our attitude in every aspect of that game was 100% correct. And City's dropped, and when it drops against any team in this league, you're going to get beat.
That's exactly, because we talked about this. You've said you can lose any Premier. We lost to Ipswich and we're all fuming. But you said you can lose any Premier League game, and if you're switched off and you're not on it, and that team's 10% on it more than you, you'll get beat.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, especially the way we were the first 10 minutes or so, City had a couple of chances, hit us on the break, and I was thinking to myself, here we go. This could be one of those days. But then when we scored, the whole game changed.
Yeah.
And suddenly we were on the ascendancy. Then we got the second, and you're just like two up after 20 minutes. You're literally in dreamland.
Well, there you go. 20 minutes was the earliest in a Premier League game that City have been behind
By 2
since
goals,
2010 against Everton.
But also Maddison. I know people have got their gripes with perhaps some of the performances and where he's been playing. I don't think there's anyone in the Tottenham, certainly in that starting 11, apart from him, and possibly in the squad, that has that kind of natural ability. He took the ball for the second goal. He took it on one foot and then dinks the keeper with his other foot.
I think Kulu's got that.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe he does. But I mean, you just, as they say, you can't teach that. And quite frankly, that is why you need James Maddison. If you're going to have James Maddison in your squad, that's why he has to be in the team, especially in the big games.
I think we need to talk about, if I don't want to take anything away from the Tottenham performance, but I want to try and also, I've got to say that if I was a City fan, I would be fuming with each of the goals that they conceded.
Yeah.
Every single goal that they conceded was a disaster.
But City were bad.
City's defending was dreadful. Now, not to take away from Spurs, but I think what we did very, very well, the big positives about the game were the discipline that we showed, the commitment that we showed, and how clinical we were. And this was the big difference in the game at St James's, because the game the other day reminded me of St James's, where actually we were better than them.
Yeah.
We were on top of them. They couldn't deal with our press, and we forced very many similar situations as to what we saw at the Etihad.
Yeah.
And it was my complaints after that game that where we let ourselves down was we weren't clinical. We weren't finding the final ball. We didn't find that final pass. And we still did it a couple of times against City. I can remember Solanke in the second half had Johnson through on the left, and for some reason
He went right.
He went right.
And he went right to Kulusevski.
I think he did, I watched that, but I don't think he just didn't see it.
I think it just caught. I think the ball actually got caught up in his foot a little bit, so he couldn't get it left. But the ball was there left. There was one in the first half where Son had it on his left foot at 2-0, and I'm screaming back, like just far post, bang it, left foot, far post, and he tried to cut in. And it's like, so even as clinical as we were, there were a number of occasions where we still didn't quite put it away when we could have. But compared to St James's, we were incredibly clinical. Compared to Brighton, when we went 2 up, we were incredibly professional.
Wow.
Even from the 25th minute, when we went 2-0 up, and we didn't do huge amounts for the remainder of the half.
But nothing says maturity more than Basuma getting booked after 15 seconds, and everyone is thinking, right, what minute is he getting sent off? 15, 25?
Well, nothing says immaturity as much as him getting booked after 15 seconds. But
But he
redeemed himself.
Perfect throughout the entire game.
I also think if you make that tackle, if you're him after 15 seconds, you're probably thinking, I'll get away with this one. It's very rare. No, to be booked.
Yeah,
it was a booking.
Everyone's going, it's too early. You can't book him.
No, but it was right. It was a booking. I had no complaints. It was a stupid challenge. It was a booking.
I actually don't like when they don't book them for that. Once the whistle blows, the rules should apply.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't matter what stage of the game. Vinnie Jones got sent off after 30 seconds of a game, quite rightly, for beating somebody in the air. Like, I mean, it doesn't matter when it happens. The foul is the foul.
Is that when football was good?
As long as we're talking about the first 15 seconds of the game, I do just want to raise the point. I think I mentioned to you, and I just wonder what others might think about this. Go back and watch the kickoffs against Palace and Ipswich, and then go back and watch the kickoff against City. Against City, okay, we lost the ball and Basuma ended up getting booked. That's not the point. Just watch the intent behind the kickoffs. I find it very interesting.
Well, you've picked up on the Palace and Ipswich, certainly the Palace one. Well, you could tell from kickoff we were just having a stroll about.
The Palace one, I mean, it went back to Basuma and he just ballooned it down the other end of the pitch for a goal kick. And against Ipswich, again, I think it went back to whether it was Basuma or Bentancur, and they just played a long cross-field ball to Ipswich's left back. Here, we kicked off, and straight away we tried to retain possession. Straight away we tried to get on the ball, and I can't believe that's something that they
that's planned.
Discuss.
No, it is. The kickoff's planned.
But then if it's planned, right? Like, I don't get it, because actually, to me, against lesser clubs, Bring them
ball.
onto us.
Wow, yeah.
Have faith in ourselves. And also, if we're taking kickoff, let's get ourselves on the ball, get a few touches, build that confidence, knock it around a bit. We've got to have faith that actually, if they're going to come onto us, we're going to retain possession.
Well,
why would we go long?
We lost it and had a player booked, but I just
found the intent.
Once we get to half time,
But I see what you're saying there, Gary. Maybe next time, yeah?
as we get to half time, I want to just pause for a second. We had an interview a couple of weeks ago with Julie Welch, Spurs author. We've had a few technical issues with that. We haven't been able to play it. But Julie has written this book. Is that showing up on camera? Yes, it is. The biography of Tottenham Hotspur. She's been involved in that for a long time. This is a new version out. We are going to give away a version of this just before Christmas. Good stocking filler. But you're looking at me. All right, I thought you wanted to say something.
No. I was just going to say, just for clarity, Tottenham Hotspur is in the title, not under.
We're going to give this away. But you have to be an Echo of Glory member, not subscriber. We will do a draw. And if your name comes out, you will get this copy just before Christmas. We'll keep reminding you, but you have to be a member. Go on to our YouTube channel, click subscribe if you haven't, and then click join. You've got to do that on a computer. Can't do it on your phone or an iPad, I don't think. You've got to do it on a desktop. But if you are a member, you do have a chance to get this before Christmas. And it's a great read because there's still a lot of stuff. We're a bit of a basket case of a football club. We do have a lot of history. It's not big type, I can promise you.
Good doorstop.
It's better than that. Right. So we get to half time.
Is it at this point where you say all the names will be drawn at random, terms and conditions apply?
Terms and conditions apply. If my dad wins it, I'll probably put his name back in. Well, maybe he can have it. Okay. We get to half time. We're 2-0 up.
Yeah,
what are you thinking?
It ain't over yet, baby.
I'm thinking two things because this is the person I am. I'm sure I'm not alone. I'm thinking Brighton and I'm thinking City away a couple of years ago when we played them on that Thursday night. And they're thinking it too. 100%. And you know who's thinking it? This bloke. Here. If I can get him in the shot. I can't. Oh, there he is. That's his arm. Pep Guardiola. He's thinking it too. He's going around that dressing room and he's saying, remember what happened. He's going, they've done it against Brighton. They did it against us 2-3 years ago. And in the other dressing room, Ange Postecoglou, who probably isn't mentioning the City one, is going, 5 weeks ago, whatever it was, we have just done this against Brighton. As Gary Neville said on his pod, he's gone around, looked them all in the eye and said, do not do this again.
Well, and also, it's not just our games. City have done it to countless sides. City being the side they are at home. How many games was it they haven't lost?
52.
There you go. In the Premier League, wasn't it?
All comps.
All comps. You know, they're still confident that if they can get the first goal and early, I mean, we're thinking it as well, aren't we? If they score early in the second half, we are banging trouble.
Is it as simple as next goal wins at that point? Well, we don't know.
Yeah,
but it's
I think it was
massive if they get the first goal.
I think it was. And as soon as they don't score within the first 8 or 5 minutes, firstly, that's the first hurdle, I think, because you're thinking, okay. And then when we score the third, what was it, 53, 54 minutes? Forget it.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, Jake. I remember when Lincoln, I'm going back here, got to the FA Cup quarter-final in about 2015 maybe. They talked to the manager. They kept beating teams. They beat Burnley in the Premier League. And he said, when you're a small club, and we're not a small club. So
a bit later than that. So it was 17, 18.
Possibly,
like that,
yeah. He said it's 5-minute chunks. When you're 1-0 up, it's 5-minute chunks. You get to your 5 minutes, your 5 minutes, your 5 minutes. In your head, it's got to be like that. And like you say, I think once we rode it out, and then obviously we go and get the third, but the first 5 minutes were key, and then it's the next 5. And then I think in the third 5, we make it 3-0.
The other thing is, you know what Gary was saying about the intensity and the intent and, you know, compared to previous performances, there was without doubt some kind of mindset or tactical change that when we were 2-0 up in that beginning of that second half, the way we had a line of the defenders all stood in a line, and Gary Neville touched on this as well, the way Arsenal did and said to City, if you want to get, you're not going through us, you can try and go around us. And I'm looking at this going, where is this Tottenham team been? Where has this defence been in the last, you know?
Can I ask a question? Because I missed the Brighton game. I missed the Brighton game. Start of the second half against Brighton, is that how we played? Or did we come out and play Ange ball?
Yeah. But then the reason why I think it's slightly, not maybe more mitigated, is that you know City are going to get on the ball. Okay, Brighton do as well, but City, that's how they play. So you know you're not going to have the ball against City. I think it's what you then decide to do, or the way you then set up to try and counter that I think is key. I think against Brighton, we went looking really for the third goal. City didn't really give us that opportunity in the first 10 minutes or so because they got on the ball. But the way we defended from that point on, he must have looked at the Arsenal performance and thought, when they've got the ball, this is how we're going to defend, and we were good. And let's not forget who was in that defence on Saturday.
I want to talk about those two now. Actually, Dragusin and Davies. We knew they were going to play. They both have been on international duty, so there wasn't really much time for them to play together in training, like you were saying about Maddison. Look, they were excellent. They could play against Fulham and not be excellent, but on the back of, or Roma, whoever it is, Roma next, they might play. On the back of the City game, they were excellent. I want to ask, are they more mature defenders? Romero and Van der Ven are brilliant footballers, but they're quite loose. Romero switches off, we know. Van der Ven is a brilliant recovery defender. He's a wonderful footballer. No. He's a brilliant recovery. Not recovery. It makes it sound like he's lost the ball. We play on the high line and he will come back and sweep up. Wonderful. These guys are just defending first because they're slightly limited in the other things they can do. They're just defenders first.
But I think if you could choose a game for those two to have played, as mad as it sounds, you might choose City away, because as much as we might want to defend on the halfway line, we were never ever going to really be able to that much. We were always going to be sat much deeper, allowing defenders to primarily do their job of defending. So, if you had Davies and Dragusin playing against a team where you're going to dominate possession and territory, I'd be probably a lot more concerned about those two playing. Davies probably more so, and that's not a criticism of Davies, because I was on the show just a couple of weeks ago singing his praises and saying how underappreciated he is, and I think a performance like on the weekend demonstrates just how underappreciated he has been. But if you're in a game against a lesser team defending on the halfway line, I'd be much more concerned about those two playing. They're stood up against, Haaland, so obviously you're going to have your concerns.
And he did get in behind a couple of times even when we were playing low.
And he caused problems and so on. But those two went about it and they did their job. And somebody made a very good point about the first goal. So one of our comments made a very good point that if Romero had got on that ball, would he have played that big, long 40, 50-yard pass out to Kulusevski, or would he have done what he often does, which is roll the ball under his foot, wait for them to set, try and bring him onto us a little bit, and then try and tippy-tap around them?
We don't know yet.
We don't know. Of course we don't know. But I certainly haven't seen Romero play that ball that Dragusin played. Like I said, I and somebody else asked, do they both come straight back into the team when they're fit? I was saying after Ipswich, I'd actually drop Romero. On form, I would drop him. And the way that Dragusin played at right centre-back, which is his actual position rather than left centre-back.
I thought of you on Saturday.
I'm not saying that Dragusin is as good as Romero. I'm not saying that he's in the class of Romero, but I do think right now he wants it more than Romero, and that counts for just about everything.
I think what you're saying about the setup against City is interesting, because we'll get probably the opposite when we play Fulham on Sunday, because we will be higher up, because we will have more of the ball, and they will try and hit us on the break, and that is where we're going to see Dragusin and Davies probably with running towards our goal as the ball gets played over the top, and you've got Jimenez or a Traore, God help them, or whoever.
Troy will be on the bench.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. So it's going to be interesting, because before I get ahead of myself and think, actually, maybe Dragusin does deserve a run in the side. I think we need to see how we play against another side.
I just want to pick up on James Robbins. I think this is a really unfair comment. It wasn't a crap ball from.
He's back down.
Okay.
What's he said?
He said Radu's ball was crap, but Deki made it. I disagree. I think that Radu realised at that moment the need to get us up the pitch. Like I said, if you think about it in terms of rugby, we're under pressure.
It's a territory ball.
It's a territory ball, but also he dropped it into an area where it was a challenge.
Yep.
One of them had to win it. It wasn't on Kulusevski's foot, no. But actually, if it had been on Kulusevski's foot, that might have made it even harder. The fact that he got to challenge and bang him off it made the whole thing.
And it allows us to get up the pitch.
It wasn't a pinpoint Hodlesk pass, James, but it was the right ball at the right time at the right moment.
Yeah.
It was pretty pinpoint, though, in the fact that it didn't go out of play, because it really had to stop just, where it did, basically.
And also on James Pitt saying that Dragusin's been abysmal so far, bar City. Again, I just disagree. And I made this point again on one of the other shows. I think he's had a lot of dumped on his shoulders when he's come into the team. He's come into European teams with makeshift defences that haven't played together. He's often had to play on the left-hand side rather than the right-hand side. And we saw last season how he struggles to open his body up to open up that left channel. And so he can be pressed, and teams know that he can be pressed on the left much easier. I'm not saying he's brilliant or anything like that, but I just think he hasn't been given a fair opportunity at this moment. And if you were to say to me, Romero and Van de Ven are fit, I'd say I'd like to see Dragic given a go with Van de Ven.
Have we seen Van de Ven and Dragic?
No, I don't think we have. What's going to be interesting is whether or not against Fulham and in subsequent weeks, because how long is Romero out for, more or less?
I reckon he's back this week.
Yeah.
We reckon he's going to be back this week. Well, it's going to be interesting to see, firstly, who he starts alongside. I personally think Romero will come back in. Because I think I just think that he's one of the leaders. I just think,
But he hasn't been a leader.
No, I know.
I agree with what you're saying.
As in, like, he's meant to be.
Yeah, meant to
So
be.
I think Romero will come straight back in. What's going to be interesting to see is A, who he puts alongside him, and B, whether he actually looks at it and goes, if he does decide to play Davies, whether he thinks, actually, maybe we're not going to play as high a line, a bit like we did against City, because to try and play a little bit more to the fact that Davies doesn't have the pace, the recovery pace. The other thing is, in this system, is Ben Davies actually better suited to playing centre-back than he is at left-back?
100%. 100%.
And actually,
Ben Davies can't play left-back.
Did Saturday show us actually how good he can be on the ball?
Yeah, but
some of the passes and the composure that he showed. I don't think he gets to show it playing left-back as much because it's a bit more... it's a bit more kind of off the cuff and intense, that position and the pace that he needs to play in that position.
I agree with you entirely. I think he is good on the ball, and I think he is at a point in his career now where he can't play left back. He's got to play centre back. And I go back to the fact that I just think generally he's one of the most underappreciated players. But I do want to ask you about Romero coming straight back in, because it is interesting in light of the debate that we had about Maddison and whether he was dropped. And in my view, based on Andrew's comments, he was dropped.
Fine.
But now, if you can drop a leader in Maddison, why can you not drop a leader in Romero who isn't doing what the team needs at the moment and doesn't seem to have his head on?
I would say the main reason is that Maddison being dropped, you had an obvious replacement in...
We've got an obvious placement in Dragic.
Yeah, but there's a drop-off in quality there. If you're playing Kulusevski in the 10 or in the 8 instead of Maddison, you go, okay, fine, that's good. Like, I know what you're going to get. If you drop Romero and you're going to play Dragic or Davies instead of him, that you can see that is such a steep drop in quality that you're already leaving yourself open to...
Yeah, it's a big call.
He doesn't have what I'm saying is he doesn't have the luxury. He maybe wants to drop Romero. I don't think he has the luxury.
I think he has got the luxury of saying on the weekend, even if Romero is fit, take a rest, have a bit more time.
Yeah, maybe
have a bit more time. And I don't think it's a bad thing for a player to be dropped from time to time.
No, I agree with that. No, I agree with that. But I also maybe Saturday's performance will be a rocket up his backside, Romero, because he'll go, actually, if I don't perform against Fulham, I'm in big trouble here.
Yeah.
I think it would be harsh against Fulham to drop Dragic at this point.
Well,
how many clean sheets have we kept this season?
But will he drop Dragic?
But that's the point, is it would be very harsh to drop Dragic.
But maybe he'll still play, is what I'm saying. Sorry.
But then he probably moves to left centre back, which again isn't fair. So if that's the case...
This is the point I want to make. J-Mac makes the point that Davies has been... played in the high line. I don't think we were as high on Saturday as we normally are. But the thing about playing...
but he has played in the high line.
He has played in the high line, and it's dangerous.
It's dangerous.
But at the same time, that goal against West Ham or Villa I can't remember, when he won the ball, when he came and he won the ball and he pinched the ball and scored from it, that was key.
But that's the other end. But
playing... For me, if you're playing Romero and Dragic, which arguably might be our best pairing when in quality when Van de Ven's out, you don't have a left-sided centre. It's so key to have a left footer
better
playing
players, but not a better pair.
Correct.
That's what it
to
is.
Work for the system.
Yeah.
Davies made some great passes on Saturday to get us out down the line into Son, sometimes into Solanke. Dragic can't do that because he's right-footed.
Yeah.
So it might have to be who plays with Davies.
Yeah.
For me,
I
it's
agree.
square pegs, round holes.
I almost would be. I think I'd be happier to see Davies starting at left centre back on Sunday And then if he wants to play Romero, I don't have a problem if he brings back Romero, but I do think that Davies could be the one.
He might play Romero and Dragusin on Thursday and play back to Dragusin. And he's now got an option. Like I said at the start, it could all go wrong in the next 2 games, and we could be shouting about Dragusin and Davies isn't good enough. On the back,
That's definitely
every chance. But on the back of Saturday, I wouldn't change him. I might play Romero on Thursday.
No,
well, Thursday's an interesting one because then, because what's the priority?
Firstly, we need to know about Udogie, because if Udogie's not fit, we've got a big problem straight away.
I felt that was a time.
Minutes.
Well, I say time wasting. We were 4-0 up.
Well,
That was just an Udogie bit of cramp. You think it's worse than that?
I don't know. Well, I haven't heard anything, but that's the first thing. Assuming that
He's not
Udogie's
playing
fine,
Thursday. I don't think Udogie plays Thursday.
I think it's a risk to play on Thursday, which means that you've got to put Davies out to left back because we have nobody else.
Gray?
Okay, fine. Maybe you play Gray.
Jed Spence, can he play on Thursday? Oh,
No,
he can't.
No, you can't. But we'll see what happens. I think we'll know more about Fulham after Thursday, but certainly Udogie is.
Okay, felt his hammy. That's not ideal.
I definitely
Udogie
think-
does need a rest, and it brings back I don't want to moan too much about the Spence thing, but it's annoying.
I definitely think though on you definitely want to see again on Thursday. You definitely want to see Dragusin and Davies play again, don't you?
Yeah,
I think they're nailed on for Thursday.
I think the other thing is, which ties into this, that a player who seems to have gone under the radar for praise from the weekend, and they all deserve praise because they were all brilliant. We haven't mentioned him. I thought he was exceptional.
Can I guess? Is it the goalkeeper?
Well, talking about the defence, I do want to talk as well about Vicario. And if it's going to be Dragusin and Davies on Thursday, I think it's imperative that Vicario plays again because
I think he definitely plays. There's no doubt about
because
that.
actually,
you watching TikTok or something?
I'm looking up the injury list.
Okay.
Because actually Vicario had one of his best games in a Spurs shirt the other day, in every sense, and it wasn't just that he came out and claimed a cross and actually caught it, which was such a relief to see, and he can do it. His shot stopping was brilliant.
Never been an issue for me, the shot stopping.
Shot stopping was brilliant, but the use of his feet with the ball,
was better.
Yep.
Well, it wasn't just better; it was really good. I mean, he was asked in that game to take on a lot of responsibility with the ball at his feet. And he was really very, very good. His communication was good. It looked to be, I don't want to say a reset from Vicario, but that's the guy that we thought we'd signed. He was big in goal.
Don't go on, Jake.
Well, I'm just looking on. There's not been any. I don't think he wasn't asked about Udogie. So whether that means that it was missed or whether it just wasn't a thing.
Ronnie's just mentioned playing Forster against Roma. No, thanks.
No, it's a game that we actually need to win. So, we need to win, relieve all the pressure, knock out a big team essentially because they'll be.
Sydney Duke. Spencer will need to play in the Premier League, otherwise Porro and Udogie will be 3 inches shorter by February.
Running themselves into the ground.
We don't need to go through the actual ins and outs of the third or fourth goal. Just a little comments on the third goal. Brilliant from Kulusevski. Lovely interchange with Son.
But there's 2 things about this, right? It was the desire, the hunger and desire and aggression from Kulusevski. You're not having it. I'm having it. Get out my way.
Yeah.
And then he got it to Son. And even with Son, right, this was really interesting because if Spurs concede this goal, I'm going berserk at the guy who didn't bring down Kulusevski. I think it was Gundogan. And then the 2 that went to challenge Son and let him run off because actually Son, after getting that little flick, getting there ahead and running off, that makes the goal.
Yeah.
I think if they knock him over, the ref plays advantage, but City can cover the runners much easier because you haven't got Son bombing through the middle. The fact they just let Son play it and run is abysmal from City, but brilliant the way that goal played out. Such a good goal.
As James asked, did you ever doubt Porro's finish? No, he doesn't half strike a ball. Bit of odd, no celebration.
Yeah, what was that?
For City. He gave it the old.
No, he did at first.
No, at first he did that because he wanted to come and do the Mario.
I don't know. He played for City for 20 minutes. I thought he was giving it the old respect.
No, I don't think so. I think he was saying, lads,
Let's
Mario
give it
Kart.
Is that what it was?
Yeah,
Mario Kart.
Yeah,
that's what they said.
Yeah,
but what's the reference?
They've all been playing.
They've all been playing Mario Kart loads. So him, Maddison, a couple
Solanke.
of Archie Gray, Solanke, the keeper, Brandon Austin.
Okay. Right.
He said they've got a bit of a Mario Kart thing. They were taking it
right.
really seriously. He said, but Porro's the Mario Kart fanatic.
Right.
So
Great game.
yeah.
I've been playing it for 20 years. And what?
Yeah, so what?
Yeah. Golden X.
And then 4-0. Timo put the after Werners on.
I mean, he burned Walker, didn't he?
Burned, please.
Burned him.
Walker's finished, didn't he?
It was. I remember a game. Gary Neville didn't actually reference this, but I remember a game that Gary Neville played, and
the West Brom game.
That was it.
Yeah.
And
He's talked about it before, though.
Yeah,
Gary
he said it,
Neville.
but he didn't mention it in
Right.
this one, and
Yeah.
maybe because out of too much respect for Kyle Walker.
Right. Yeah.
But I wonder if Kyle Walker had that Gary Neville moment where
He got
realised-
outpaced by a West Brom player.
Yeah,
They've been the slowest team in the league.
He
and
just got turned
he got
inside out. Did he get
turned-
hooked?
no.
Or did he get sent off?
I
he
can't
got
remember.
sent
No, I
off.
think he did get outpaced at one point,
Yeah.
and he said subsequently that was the game I knew that it was over for me.
Yeah.
And
he
I
said
just wonder. Okay, I mean Timo Werner is rapid. He is rapid, but it was more. And I get that it was the 90th minute as well. I mean Walker just didn't react. He just did. I mean I was watching it and I was about. It's weird. Is Walker injured here? Like he just didn't react. With that said, Werner was direct, aggressive in his approach, single-minded as he always is. That's what I've always said about him. He's given an instruction, get down that line, get it low, but across the box, and he executed it absolutely perfectly. And credit where it's due. I don't have faith that any of our other wingers would have done that. I actually don't. Including Son.
I think Werner on the other side, he probably put it wide.
No, Werner on the other side would have been a disaster. He'd have tripped over his own 2 feet. I thought you meant if he was received the ball on the other side in the same situation.
The cross he's saying.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I thought you were saying Johnson. Oh, what was your... Sorry.
Well, I think if Johnson had received the ball, even on the right, in the same situation, I don't have faith.
I thought you were saying popping up at the back stick.
No, I don't have faith. I don't have faith that Johnson would have put the burners on, got there and delivered a ball of that quality. It was a ball of quality, by the way. In between the keeper and the defender, laid it on an absolute play. I don't have faith that our other wingers would have done that. So Werner gets a lot of stick, but that was a real bit of quality for him. And
he was actually played all right. I mean, he came on against Ipswich as well.
He played very well against Ipswich. And not to put too fine a point on it, but all 3 of our 4 wingers, 3 out of our 4 wingers got an assist. And one got a goal at the back post, like Raheem Sterling, because that's been mentioned to me. Is he Raheem Sterling? I actually never liked Raheem Sterling, by the way, as a footballer. I always thought he was horribly overrated and never impacted a game enough. With that said, I think he's a better player than Johnson.
Well, you said it. I disagree that he's a better player than Johnson. I don't want to get down the Johnson
I don't really
thing.
understand why this. Yeah, why?
Because people are saying like Raheem Sterling made a career of popping up on the back post.
Well,
he did
for Man City.
Man City, right?
Pep bought him for that.
Yeah, and he did very
turned him
well.
into a multiple Premier League winner.
Yeah.
Well, so what? Why? Why is there no place for that in a football team?
Because we're not Man City. You need more.
Well,
I'm not talking about Johnson again.
We'll see.
Okay, I think I asked at the top: was this our best Premier League win? And a few people chipped in with, like we said, winning at United, winning at Arsenal. The more I think about this game, the more I think it probably was. They've won the league 27 times in a row. They were unbeaten in 52 at home. I'm going to read you some stats because that's the kind of guy that I am.
Do you reckon stats?
Yeah. Pep Guardiola lost a home game by 4 goals for just the second time in his career. He lost with Bayern against Real Madrid, lost 4-0. That was the first time in a league game that he'd lost 4-0 at home. City are the first reigning champions to lose 5 games in a row in all competitions since Chelsea in 1956. I mean, I don't care about City, but they look a bit broken. What else have we got here? 52 games we've talked about. Tottenham is a nice one. Tottenham Hotspur are the second team in Premier League history to lose at home to a promoted team in one match and then beat the reigning champions away in the next.
Not such a nice one.
After Liverpool in December 2000, who also lost to Ipswich and then beat Man United. It just shows what a basket case we are.
Do you remember our last big 4-0 Premier League away win?
Villa.
Who was our next opponent?
Fulham.
What was the score?
3-0 to Fulham.
It was away, though.
It was the other way around this time.
It was the way, but
yeah. Only Wayne Rooney 6 and Jamie Vardy 5 have scored more Premier League goals at the Etihad as a visiting player than James Maddison, who has 4, who scored the earliest ever brace away from home against reigning Premier League champions. And one more, Spurs' Pedro Porro has scored more Premier League goals than any other defender since his debut in 2023. He's got 8.
Wow.
Nice stats. I think
They're not his.
but I think...
Oh, I've got another one I wanted to read you
Go on.
and ask you a question. Go on, you can give your point.
I was going to say, look, you know, I referenced that Villa game because it was after that game that I sat here and said it felt like a coming of age moment for Tottenham. It was a brilliant performance away at Villa Park to beat them 4-0. And that has to be the level now. And I'll say it again. You know, we've lost to Ipswich, we've lost to Palace, and it's, you know, people say, why do you keep referencing it? Let's move on. Have to reference it. You have to look at the season in context. And my deep frustration about this Tottenham team is, as I have said all season, I don't think people appreciate how close we are to being a really, really good team. And my pain when it comes to performances like Palace and Ipswich is, you know, people talk about Ange ball and this, that, the other. It wasn't Ange ball that we played in those games. It was nothing ball. We didn't do anything in those games. So my pain is we have it in us, and City weren't great. It wasn't the best City performance we'll ever see, but we absolutely took them apart and did what we needed to do, and we did it brilliantly. That has to be the level. It has to be the level going forwards. This is a huge run now to Christmas. We have to go and put Fulham away with minimum fuss. Then we have to go down to a really tough game against Bournemouth and put them away before coming back and facing Chelsea. This has to be the moment this team mans up, grows up, matures, and says, this is now who we are.
Just before we finish, Gareth Dace, friend of the show, sent me a great stat, but I can't find it because my laptop's on a go slow, so I can't give it to you. But on that, Armin on the comments asked, on Sunday, we're going to come up against Fulham, who will sit, I suspect, in a low block, and they'll play on the counter. I've seen Fulham live this year. Like I said, I went to that Everton game. They weren't great. Picked Everton off at times, but Everton were really poor. They got a bit of pace about them, but we're going to come up against a low block. Definitely. We're going to come up against a completely different style on Sunday, similar to how Ipswich played. As Gary Neville said, Spurs have got to start showing consistency, lose the Spursy tag. We've lost to Ipswich. I know we don't like talking about it. We've gone and then thumped Man City 4-0. So we can't now go back and have another Ipswich.
But it, again, you know, I said this against Ipswich. The players might take the view, and Gary Neville said it actually. He said, you know, it sounds like a silly thing to say you've got to get yourself up for a game, but inherently, when you go to a big game, you switch on automatically. You have to find a way as a professional when you're playing your Ipswiches to switch on. And I said, you know, this Spurs team against Ipswich, against Fulham, they should take the attitude, they really should take the attitude of, we're going to go out there aggressive as hell. We're going to go out there and put these away. And by half time, we'll have it won. And then maybe we can like take our foot off the pedal a little bit. But that's the attitude. Go and win it. Go and get it done. Gaxman saying, do we believe that Tottenham are actually ready to become that team?
Have to be ready now.
That's what it's about now. I don't think there can be a question about Ange ball. People saying it doesn't work, this, that, the other. Ange ball works. What it requires, as in any system, whether it's Conte, Mourinho, Poch, if the players are not on it, it ain't going to work. And that's not the system. That's the mentality and the approach. But to me, Ange ball works, in my personal view, better than any of them. But the players have got to be on it, and they need to make it work. So, in answer to you, Gaxman, are they actually ready to do it? I don't know. That's their test. Out. That's their test. That's the challenge to them now, and that's what Ange should be demanding of them now. You have shown what you're capable of multiple times this season. You've also shown the disaster you can be a few times this season. What do you want to be?
Before that, quickly, got Roma, who haven't won an away game all season.
Yeah, but the problem is I don't know.
You sod.
Just stats, mate.
I don't know.
Stats. I don't think they'll beat us, by the way.
Well, you don't know the kind of team that we're going to put out. What's our priority at this point? Fulham on Sunday, or Roma on Thursday.
Find some consistency. I don't think
it's tricky though, isn't it? So who do we think is going to start? Who's available? Who of the rotate the people that you would?
Well, Bentancur will probably play.
Bentancur has to play.
Johnson, I imagine, might come in.
Yeah.
Johnson.
He may put Maddison back on the bench. As long as he said to him, you're starting Sunday, by the way, mate. I don't know.
Romero?
He's got...
Does Romero play? He should be fit.
If he's fit.
If he's fit, he comes back in. So who's being rested for Sunday? Maddison, Kulusevski.
Sorry.
No, I don't think it was Kulusevski.
Lord
So,
Van
that's the,
Dingo.
so this is the thing now. It's tricky though, isn't it? Over the next few weeks, we've got more Champions League. We've got midweek Premier League games as well. Are we expecting the same 12 or 13 players to basically start these next 7 games?
Unfortunately, with the injuries that we've got, particularly up front, we don't have many options. I mean,
Lancashire could come.
Lancashire could play for Solanke.
I know he's suspended against Roma.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so Solanke's got to play.
Yeah.
There aren't. I think Werner will start.
I think Son will be on the bench.
I think
They're
Werner
clearly
will
managing
start.
his
I think
minutes.
Johnson will start. I think Kulusevski will start. Solanke will start. Bentancur will start. It might be interesting to see whether he plays Sarr or whether he goes with Bergvall. That would be an interesting
I'd play
one.
Bentancur and Gray.
No, because you're going to need Gray in defence.
Yeah.
You're probably going to need Gray in defence.
Yeah.
So I think
Poor kid can't play in his position.
I think it will be interesting to see whether it's Bergvall or Sarr. But just want to pick up very quickly on Lord Van Dingo, because no, I did not say that. This guy here saying you boys saying we should pay up David's contract in January a few pods ago. Extreme disrespect from totally wild. No, I did not say that. Actually,
you didn't, but somebody it was said.
It was said on here, not me.
Not me.
Actually, what I said was he's the most underappreciated player. You need players like that. You need his professionalism. He's great with the kids. And a lot of people are saying that he should go in the summer. I don't necessarily agree that he should be in the squad next season. That's up for debate. But 100% he's got a squad place this season.
I'm not going to name names, but it was not any of us three.
It was
and we disagreed at the time. We totally disagreed at the time. But Lord Van Dingo, I appreciate you listening and taking this stuff in. So on that,
just remember who said what.
Name names, please, so we can call them out. I'm not going to do it, but you can. All right. Very quick look at Roma. Like I said, they've not won away. I caught the end of their defeat to Antonio Conte. Antonio Conte's Napoli last night. They were okay. They've just got Ranieri. No new manager bounce yet. Dybala, they've got this situation with him where they might not play him because I think if they have to play him a certain number of times, they have to pay him a load more money. Basket case of a football club. They sacked club legend Daniel De Rossi at the start of the season, brought in the new guy Juric, who lasted 12 games, and now they brought in Ranieri.
Loads of positives for Everton.
With the new owners. Yeah, the new owners are going to take over Everton. They're not a good side. We should be beating them. Let's have a very quick...
Do you know what I'm thinking?
Go on.
Dilly ding, dilly dong.
Were you at that press conference?
No, but I've watched it.
Let's have a quick prediction for Roma.
You've teed this up, haven't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We could definitely not win on Thursday.
Mr. Positive saying we could definitely not win.
I think the Europa League's a different... I think the Europa League's different, and that's the thing. Saturday's performance and result against City is why I won't get too down on the team when we lose, because you just don't know what's around the corner. There's been complaints about the results and stuff, and everyone said, "Oh well, we're going to have to go and win at this and this and this." But as we said, if a team's not at it in the Premier League, anybody can go and get beaten.
Give me a bloody prediction for Roma. That's all I asked.
I think it's going to be 2-2.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll score a couple, won't we? We'll concede a couple, score a couple.
As Tottenham Rangers says, no new logo bounce for you.
We should win. I mean, I said I'll do 2 predictions going forwards. The Tottenham that I believe in, I have faith in, will win, and the Tottenham that could turn up will lose.
I've said this before, though.
What do you want me to say?
Whatever the records. Okay, maybe I'm overthinking this one. Roma have been on an absolute downward spiral. I've just seen it in the past from Tottenham and other sides that when these sides with European pedigree and history of playing a lot in Europe come over to teams in England that maybe are rotated or not at their absolute best, they come over and they win. We've seen it over the years. And Roma
unquestionably, it's our second hardest game of our league phase after Galatasaray away. Yeah. We've lost one of them. We can't really afford to lose another.
I know what you're saying about Roma and the form that they've been on, but I don't know. Who did they play this weekend? Did they rest a lot? Were they able to rest a lot of players?
They lost to Napoli, who are top of the league.
Yeah, but did they rest a lot of players? No. They played a full-strength side.
Other than Dybala, it was a full-strength team.
But we're not going to play a full-strength team on Thursday.
He might not.
I think we'll have more than enough about us to beat them. As long as we go out with the right attitude, we'll win.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to plug the book one more time.
Win what?
The match.
Yeah, but by what score?
Gary's not predicting.
I don't know. I'll say 3-1 Tottenham.
What do you think?
2-1 Tottenham Hotspur. Plugging this book, Julie's brilliant book, which we are going to give away before Christmas. Like I said, you've got to be a member, not just a subscriber. So do that, or you can't win the book. Ultimately,
Simple.
Right, we'll be back on Friday. I don't know who's going to be here, but we will have a show. Still sorting that out. Enjoyed that. For me, it's our best ever Premier League win. Sod it. 4-0 away to the champions who never lose at home.
You'll never sing that.
Sorry to Pep Guardiola, who is in the studio. Not sure if we can get him back in shot.
He doesn't want to be in shot.
He doesn't want to be in shot. He's not said a word.
Very quiet.
Very quiet. Gentlemen, thank you so much for a happy pod.
Thank you.
More of that in the future, hopefully.
Could do this every week, couldn't we?
Okay, I'll get used to this, yeah. All right, we will see you soon. And up the Spurs.
Whoop, whoop.